This isn't golden age, right? You guys know that. So if you're living in this time and age, you're free-spirited, you're open, you have subtle perception, you have your awareness is elevated, you can see things. You're going to get tortured. You're going to get tortured, maybe physically. I mean, look at Jesus, but at least mentally and emotionally. Because people are not going to get you. You're going to be in a situation trying to explain yourself. Let me give an example. I don't know. There was a dentist once, and he was making something for me, and I presented an idea. I said, look, if you make it this certain way, will this be better? This is a good example. I had a couple teeth missing, so they were going to make a prosthetic with 2 teeth. I said, look, because they made one, it didn't fit good, it moved around. So then we were going to try to do it again. I gave this idea. I said, I wonder if you change the anatomy a little bit with the structure of the tooth, will it touch better? And I just gave my 2 cents. I said, look though, I'm not demanding this. I don't know, because I'm not a dentist. I'm a patient. I said, but can you ask the lab and see, like, will this be better? So yeah, let me check. Okay. So then they made it again. It came back. It still didn't fit. The dentist blames me. She says, well, you told me to make it like this. See, this is the subtle thing that happens. There are thousands of different examples. She says, you told me to make it like this. I said, no. I said, I asked you to ask them, is this a good idea? Well, a good suggestion. Like, we're all a team. Patient, dentist, the lab, right? I have some creative ideas maybe, and maybe, everybody considers what each other has to say. So why, but she didn't admit that. She couldn't admit it. She's like, no, you said to make it this way. Why? I said, I even have voice notes to prove it, right? Why something so clear, this is what you got to deal with. Why are the people, they're not going to admit it. They can't say, oh yeah, or give an explanation. No. Why? Because people deep down, we don't want to admit when we're wrong. The ego can't handle it, but we're unconscious of that fact. This is the benefit of those who the more advanced spiritual aspirants. You want to look at all this stuff. You want to catch yourself out when you're trying to avoid something. The average mainstream person, spiritual oriented or not, doesn't matter. You got to get to a certain level to where someone can say, yeah, this person, they have something. The average person, though, no, they are not willing to look at themselves. And if you have a higher level of awareness, you're going to bring up certain questions that's going to really provoke them. But like, you're not trying to. You're not like trying. I wasn't trying to make her feel bad. Look, you dummy. Why'd you so stupid? I was honestly trying to see, like, what happened here? Like, what happened? She said, well, you told me to make it like. I said, no, I asked you to ask him, is this a good idea? But, they should make it how they make it. They're the professionals. So the reason why people don't want to look at things that you bring up is because it creates this anxiety inside them. Their ego starts to burn. You're asking them, the ego never wants to admit he's wrong, ever. And another diversion, have you guys noticed this? You're trying to connect in some situation, and there's some trouble, some friction. So you try to see, like, what happened? Something happened. Start asking questions. They'll respond to your question. They don't respond to your question. They'll give an answer to a question that you're not even asking. You'll say, but I'm not even asking that. Like, I'm asking this. And then they'll do some diversion thing. Why? Because that question that you're asking is too potent. It's too direct. Shakes them up unconsciously. So unconsciously they want to avoid it. That's happened, man, my whole life. Family, friends, employers, everything. Military, that was the worst. Definitely don't want to shake them up. So what to do? I'm going to give the antidote. It's heavyweight stuff, though. Because it's like, I'm talking to those select few that really get this and know what I'm talking about. Because there's mainstream people that watch this too. So, I don't know. You probably won't. Pay attention and see if what I'm saying is triggering. It's an opportunity to look at yourself and see, why is it triggering? Don't blame the other person. That's the reflex. That's the reflex of the ego-identified state, is to blame the other person. Why are you putting pressure on me? Leave me alone. I said, no, the pressure's already in you. Somehow the questions that are being asked are revealing that pressure. Yeah, tell them that and see how they respond. They can't hear it. It's like they don't have the GB capacity in their hard drive to assimilate the questions you ask or what you're pointing to. They can't do it. It's impossible. They can't do it. That took years for me to get. Why? Because I was still identified with the ego state. I wanted them to understand me. You need to understand me. Understand me. All right, so now we go to the St. Francis prayer. See, this is the antidote. God, let me understand rather than be understood. Help me to love rather than to be loved. And this is why I respect the story of Jesus so much, is that in a nutshell. The consciousness in Jesus was strong enough to transcend the deepest misunderstandings. I mean, the man was self-realized. He came from a state of love. He wasn't trying to hurt anybody. And yet, look how, like, the level of misunderstanding that came from the collective populace at that time. I mean, look, according to the story, I wasn't there, so, I don't know. But according to the story, look how he was persecuted and then killed. And then, and everybody likes this part, when they're torturing him on the cross, he asked God to forgive them because they clearly have no idea what they're doing. The people that were hurting him and the people that hurt you, probably not on that level, but the ones that mental, emotional kind of character assassination, or they can't have a true dialogue with you. They want to avoid your questions. They're not doing that consciously. It's not an intentional thing. They're not like, yeah, I'm gonna have fun with this person. I don't want to look at myself, so I'm going to just avoid it and evade it, and try to not give him what he wants. They're not doing that. If they were doing that, they would come out of it. Because if they knew what they were doing, knowing implies consciousness. If you can't be consciously unconscious for too long, there's going to be some kind of shift. And then later, maybe they'll make amends or something. They say, you know what, I was trying to run from that. I have an Indian friend that I've known for 17 years. He used to do this really bad. But somehow I sensed we were really connected. And so I didn't just run away, we kept going. And then as the years went on, he really started to, he's on a whole nother level now. There's very few people on the planet that I see that actually change and transform. Because now I've known people for over 30 years. Like when I go back to Florida, I see these people, very few change. Their character maybe modifies a little bit, but for the most part, there hasn't been any real shift or awakening. So in my Indian friend, there is, though. He totally transformed. Now it never happens. There's no question that I can't ask him that he won't reflect. It's like we're like one. We just can't. We've crossed all the levels, all the karma that comes up when you're in an intimate relationship or best friend relationship, whatever. All those levels have been crossed. So it's great. If you get one person like that in your life, man, you're way ahead of the game. So back to the Jesus story, though. Not only did these people that were persecuting him not understand him, that was clear, their mind twists it around and actually thinks, they actually thought they were doing justice. They were like helping the society by eliminating him because of whatever. They interpreted his actions and talks as blasphemy, and he's gonna hurt the mainstream people, and so now we gotta help them, the people. We gotta kill them. This is deep unconsciousness. So how do you deal with that? That's an extreme example, but there's all kinds of subtleties to that, because everybody lives pretty much in concepts. If you're just an average robot and you just do everything with your mind, and you're also trying to evade doing any kind of introspection or spiritual growth, well, you're going to get along really good in the world. You're just going to fit in really good. You're people please, don't cause any waves. We don't want to do that. Oh, you'll get along really good. You're not going to have any deep, connection like I have with the Indian person, but they don't know anyway. They don't know what they're missing. Ignorance is bliss type thing. There was another example. I've said this before, but it fits in. There's so many examples. I just can't. There's so many, but yet I can't remember because they're so subtle. That's why I gave the gist. But there was another example where we did medicine together one night, me and this guy, and we stayed at the shaman's place and did medicine all night. It was a really strong dose. It was on equinox. The energy was stronger. And this guy didn't come down. He just stayed loopy. And some people came and got me and said, "Look, your friend's loopy." I said, "Oh, damn it. I knew it was the medicine." Also, he has a fragile psyche. So, the medicine can crush you if you're not too solid inside. You have to be careful, So then we go back to the shaman. We stay there all night. The shaman's hoping that he'll be better the next morning, but he wasn't. Shaman's wife starts talking to the shaman. They orchestrate a story to try to save face because they don't want this word to get out in public. It was a small community, maybe 5,000 people in this town. So they're like, "Look, here's what probably happened. He left here. After he did the medicine, he left. He did another drug. And that's why he's loopy." Right? I know the guy, and that's impossible. So they come to me with this story. They're like, "Can you co-sign in this?" This is because, we don't know. Maybe he did. And I saw, again, this example, like the people, they're delusional. They believe their own lies. Back to the dentist story. When I asked her, I said, I made it very clear. I even have voice notes proving I never said I demanded this. In fact, I said the opposite. I said, "I just want to know what's best. Can you ask them about this option?" You have all the proof. Still they can't hear it. She says, no, I don't know. You asked for it. I don't want to do, okay, here, I'll give you money back. Just leave. You see how much stress they're feeling? All they got to do is just look at it and say, "Yeah, I don't know why that happened, but it's true. I remember you said that you asked me to ask them if it's a good idea. I didn't do it. It's good." If they just come clean like that, I'm good. Even if I maybe have to pay again or something. It's like, okay, there was a spiritual connection. That's okay. But they can't. The ego, the self-preservation tactic that the ego uses to preserve this illusion that it's living in is so strong. They can't see it. In fact, like the Jesus story, they're going to kill you. They'll kill him. Jesus was shaking them up so bad inside. with his pointings, because something inside these unconscious people, it must have moved. Something hears that, but their ego overrided it and it's like, we got to kill this person because he's waking us up, and like we got to kill him. Kill him. Again, they don't know that. I'm articulating that because that's what's happening. I'm articulating for them. So, shaman and his wife try to orchestrate this story, get me to co-sign on. I said, man, that's impossible. Like, what are you talking about? I like spent time with the guy too much, actually. I said, that didn't happen. So then, I didn't want to talk to these people anymore. They showed me their true character, you know. Now, he's so passive, he's part of the whole problem too. He's actually same as them on some level, because he never confronted them. He was always scared. He said allegedly he confronted them at some point, and they said, oh, we didn't do it. And he said, oh, okay. But that took like 2 years, 3 years after. He never wanted to confront them. Why? Don't want to make no waves. Don't make any waves. It's uncomfortable. See, if you're more free spirit inside, you can't help but make waves. I tried to not make waves my whole life, and I always make waves. Always. I try not to. I'm making waves when I'm making this video, I bet. But you can't help it. This is why I liked Osho. He was like that. He was just a rebel at heart, but the consciousness was playing that way through him. He's not a rebel like, you know, like, it's not, see, there's ego rebel, there's spiritual rebel. You have to discern what's what, where you at. So, back to the antidote. I realized at some point, it took so long, the real answer is the St. Francis prayer. Google it if you don't know what it is, and read that all the time, and get that to where it's tattooed inside you, to where when you're in a situation, you just start where they don't understand you, which probably is not going to take long. You start reciting this prayer inside. This will give you power and strength, especially when things are on the line. If we're talking about money or something, and maybe you don't have a lot of money, and you invested some money into something, and it didn't work out, and it wasn't your fault, and the people, they don't want to admit it. Everybody wants to say it's your fault. Nobody could have any responsibility. This is the time and age we're living in. It's automatic. It's automatic. Dentists, doctors, car mechanics, anything. If there's a problem, it's automatic to try to both blame each other. This is the time and age we're living in. So, you have to realize God's taking care of you. This is the training that we signed up for. Because I used to ask that question, what am I doing on this planet? Like, damn, I know it's temporary, and I'm very grateful for that. This would suck to be here forever on this level of consciousness. But it's like, damn. And then I realized, though, it's like, it's temporary. And it's deep training. The serenity that you unlock inside, and the surrender that gets unlocked when you're in these kind of situations where not only they don't understand you, but you like get punished, you get like persecuted on some level, and like you didn't even do anything. That's deep training. You got to see it that way. But you don't have the power to see it that way unless you really have you're devoted to waking up. And the St. Francis prayer is perfect for this type of situation, because he reverses everything, because it's ego instinct, selfish, self-centered core to want people to understand you. I want people to love me. I want people to get me. Me. This is self-centered core. St. Francis prayer flips all that. Flips it all around. That takes a little time to wake up that potential that everybody has, though. We all have that. But grace has to do that for you. There's no way that you can practice that as some kind of mental technique using your willpower. I'm going to practice. Please. You don't have the power. The mind, the human self, ego, does not have the power to do that. You have to activate your spiritual potential. This prayer will help to do that. The prayer is a petition to this higher source self to help this human ego self. That's surrender. When we surrender, we get power. It's the whole paradox. So that's what I wanted to say. It's a 20-minute video, I guess, of something to say. Let me know how you like that. I'll see you.